Hello, welcome back to Tango Tasters. I'm Ian Matthews and today I'm going to be looking at reading and writing within Tango. This is because I went to a school recently and we were working on creating a thread of different elements of a story and documenting them with these kids. Basically put, we had the story of Captain Cook and his voyage from the UK or Britain down through the South Seas, discovering New Zealand and then on to Australia. The rationale for him going there and so forth. And each time we had a video to do this, and every time we found something of note, we would snap from the video that was loaded up in Tango and effectively create a slideshow of all the different elements of the video. That then gave the kids, following that, an ability to go back up to the board and see if they could recap what it is they'd learned. So they were able to go and say, this was the point where, on searching for Venus, Cook had accidentally stumbled upon New Zealand. And then the third voyage, by the time it and so on. So we ended up with this quite an in-depth story, and it then led them to not only note take, but then go away and actually write a more thorough account themselves based on the fact we can save all this as a PDF. So I'm going to show you all this. Now, I'm not going to show you a video because that would take too long. Instead, I'm just going to show you a few things you can do from a book. And the book I'm going to use, coincidentally, is actually called Threads. And it is by someone I met last year at the ISTE conference called Margaret Atkinson. She's worth checking out on Twitter, fmargaret, F-M-A-R-G-R-E-T at Twitter, whatever. She is someone who's very keen on looking at the different ways of learning and teaching, and someone I definitely suggest you get in touch with to discuss anything that's talked about in this book. So I have here a series of images based in a PDF, high quality images that at each point I'm going to be able to just snap away like I did in the last video before moving on. So this story is about how an individual might have a thread within them that exemplifies their humanity, and holding on to that thread of humanity is important even in the most difficult of times. So even though an individual may have different strengths to contribute to the world, she says, each person's individual thread intertwines to create the whole thread of humanity. Now, as before, I'm going to keep snapping. And as I go through this, there may be specific elements that I want to talk about from each page. I'm just going to snap a few of these in order, just to give an example of how, why, when you can do this. So, I think up to page 6, page 7, and page 8. Okay, so by now in the book she's been talking about, or the group's been talking about, how different people were able to show their humanity in difficult situations. In this case it was about two guys, a group of people who were able to help refugees escape from the Nazi-occupied areas of Europe to the areas of Sweden where they could be safe, at great personal risk. So I'm going to go back into Tango. All those images are now there. I can snap each one individually and then go in and crop each one to just have the image itself, but for now I'm not worried about that too much, because what I want to do as a basic starter point to this is not just grid them from there, I want to throw them. And by throwing, I can almost say to my learners, alright, put them in an order that you remember being the correct order, and we'll see if we can't start piecing this together. It's a really good way to formatively assess whether your learners were actually able to grasp the major understanding points of any book. Now, let's say we've done that, and I've gone back to this bit again here. So we've gone back through the layout and we're going to start talking about each individual bit. So if we want to talk about specifically the name of these guys, okay? So I can snap specifically and take it out, but almost I don't really want to. I won't want them to just reuse what their reading can tell them. I want them to tell me by yelling out or writing on the board. So I'm going to annotate, I'm going to go to a colour we can see. I'm going to talk about that these guys were called Ferdinandsen. I'm spelling that right. I'm definitely not spelling that right. Go back to undo. Ferdinandsen and Jorgensen. Okay. Now that could be as full as you want it to be. We can have as many notes or as few notes as you deem to be necessary for your learners. We want this all to be lots and lots of information, basically so we can formatively assess how well the learners are doing. I've now got two ways of arranging this. I can either go to Pages and select PDF. If I PDF from here, it's going to export a PDF page to the desktop. but to some extent that could be quite difficult to see all this. So another way to do this, because if I say this, I beg your pardon, it could be that it's difficult to see each individual element on a smaller page when it's being PDF'd out. What I could do as well, however, is if I start duplicating all these pages, it's effectively going to create a number of the same pages throughout a list here. Now, as you can see, it's actually brought a few of the bits and pieces that I've been doing earlier, so I'm going to move those to the side if you ask you to ignore them. But on page 1, I would like effectively this one to be the main point of context. On page 2, I want this one to be the main point of context. So that when I start going through pages, I actually bring in another version of the book, only this time with lots and lots of notes. So duplicating a page and then moving individual images allows us to have lots and lots and lots of different pages that will have a focal point of each specific area I want to focus on. Now I'm going to save it, because if I save it into Tango, and I'll call it Threads Session. By saving it into Tango, it's going to take a couple of seconds to do that. Depending on how many things I've got in there, will always take a little bit longer. Then, when I close this down, it's going to place it, in this case, into an uncategorized folder, because I didn't set it as a category to start with, the date I've done it, and the session itself. From here, if I press and hold, and export to PDF, what that's then going to do is take each individual page and create the same sort of size as what it was when we first took it from the PDF. So it takes a little longer to do this because it has to effectively look at each specific page, start doing a bit of playing around technically, and eventually it will export to the desktop. I'm going to press and hold on this, minimise this as well, and then we've got these. There's the page 1 that I used from before, so tapping on this will just open page 1 as a PDF within whatever reader you're using. However, with the thread session itself, it's going to perform the same thing but as a multi-page document. So I've then got the ability to scroll through each one of my own pages as I've created it, and that will hopefully make a really good bit of revision tool for each learner. It could be that we've got now a lot of notes that are individual or specific to a group within the class, the group as a whole, but it's something that they can revert back to as and when they need to. And once again, it's proving that Tango's content isn't really about what's coming from Tango. Anything is compatible. As long as you've got the ideas, as long as you've got the resources you want to be able to use, Tango can utilise them in a number of interesting ways. If you've got content you'd like to share with us, ideas that you'd like to promote from your school and your learners, what they'd be able to do, we'd love to hear from you. By all means, get in touch with me at my Twitter feed @IanRMatt. Go to @Tango_teach as well for the Tango element of our Twitter website feed, whatever, or just go to osbornetechnologies.co.uk and get in touch there as well. We'd love to hear from you.